Hello, welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Big Italy 42. He's Scott Mailweg at Sports 25 to Life, and we're talking about the all-day slates, all your partial slates. If you're playing early only, if you're playing late only, middle, whatever you're playing, 3 different slates you can play today. So a lot of fun. So we're going to cover everything for you here, and starting off with some top pitchers here. Got a lot of big names on the mound, but none of them in not a lot of them in great spots, I'll say. You got Felix Hernandez is a small favorite at Tampa Bay because Chris Archer opposing him there. $12,000 for him. I definitely think he's a fine option, but I don't know that I'm going to be paying $12K for a guy who's barely a favorite. So you got Max Scherzer against the Cubs. Obviously, all this speculation with the win the last few days hasn't really panned out. Not very many runs being scored there, but we know the Cubs strike out a ton. Scherzer, one of the best arms in the league, so I think I prefer him to Hernandez. How about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn a little bit. I prefer Felix in general, but I do like the matchup a little bit better for Scherzer today. Mostly because of the strikeout rate on both ends there with both Scherzer and the Cubs' offense. I don't mind Lester today, though, either. He's going to be my third option, probably. Mostly GPPs, but 8,600 for him on DraftKings just seems like a great GPP play. Yeah. Because he has a ton of upside in this one. Washington's offense hasn't been particularly good outside of Harper, who, he just went nuts again last night. It's just unbelievable.
It's not even fair right now.
No, it's not. It's insane. Every day I feel like, he hit a home run last night. He's probably not going to hit another one today, and then he just does. It's crazy. But Lester's looked really good in his last, 6 games or so here. He struggled a little bit last time out against Arizona, but, he still pitched 7 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs, just didn't have the strikeouts there. That game only had 4, but, Lester's been on point for the last 5-6 games or so after that slow start to the season, so I really like him as a GPP play today.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and you've got some other great options. I really like Garrett Cole as well against a Miami team that's awful against righties. They got no power, lowest team ISO, one of the lowest team, one of the highest strikeout rates, one of the lowest team WOBAs, and he's coming off a monster game, 8 1/3 against the Mets, 10 Ks, 6 hits, 1 run, not even an earned run, 1 walk, 38 points on DK. You gotta like him. Zach Greinke's your biggest favorite on the board at -200. He's 9,500 against Atlanta.
Yep.
He's there. Obviously, he's a righty. Kershaw's a lefty. Atlanta a little bit better against righties than they are against lefties, and he's not going to do what Kershaw did last night. But at 9,500, he's still got significant upside at that price tag.
Yeah, definitely. I like him quite a bit. I'm a little surprised at the fact that he's really talked about as a much worse option than Scherzer and Hernandez so far.
Yeah.
Where for that price discount, I think he's right on par with them in terms of dollars per point or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a really nice discount from 12,000 at Hernandez and 11,100 from Scherzer. So I like him quite a bit. He's most likely going to be in a lot of my cash game lineups. Atlanta's offense just hasn't looked good lately. Another guy that's in a similar situation is Garrett Richards against San Diego. He hasn't been quite as good as Greinke lately, but he's been a little bit better than he was early in the season when I was trying to use him a little bit and he really wasn't getting the job done. But I think he's got 20-plus points in 5 of the last 6 games. He struggled against Boston last time out, but I think he's probably the GPP play in that Greinke price range.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And as you look down cheaper, if I'm looking for a cheap guy for a GPP, I don't mind Rick Porcello, even though he had a really bad start last time out. Because the Twins do strike out a lot against righties, and he won't be high owned, especially on all-day slate, because there's so many options. I'm still a believer in Colin McHugh for tournaments. I know it's going to be in Camden against those big bats, but he's got the kind of upside at 7,500 that no one's going to be targeting him against those big bats. Had a great game against Toronto 2 games ago. So, he definitely has the upside, but he also has a very, very low floor as well.
Yeah, definitely. Another GPP play I like today is Syndergaard. Only, 76 or 78? 7,600 on DraftKings. Facing Philly, obviously, everyone knows we're targeting Philly a ton with pitchers. Due to the lower innings pitched, I don't love him as a cash game play despite the fairly low price. We haven't really seen the strikeout upside from him yet in the majors. I think it'll come eventually. He just throws too hard and has too good off-speed pitches to not start racking up strikeouts at some point. I like him quite a bit as a GPP play today. one other really cheap cash game play. I don't have a problem with Ryan Vogelsong today at Milwaukee for 5,600. I think he's definitely in play there. I'd prefer him to be at home, but Milwaukee's not a bad pitcher's park either. And I mean, Vogelsong's just been so good.
Yeah, and I mean, you were on him at Coors Field as a
Yeah, I
GPP
played him
play.
that night, and he had a really nice game. I played him a ton of GPPs that night, and he was like 0.5% owned, and ended up going 6 innings and giving up 0 runs.
Yeah, he might be point wise, or at least dollar for dollar wise, the best performer in Coors Field so far this year. So nice call there, and yeah, I'm with you there. He's been really good. I mean, it was one of those games where he went into Cincinnati off a couple of good starts, and everyone stacked against him. I was one of the people. They only scored 2 runs, and then he just keeps getting it done somehow. But
yeah, he's always just good enough is the thing. Like, he's never going to go 8 innings and strike out 9 guys or whatever, but he's just been getting the job done. And at 5,600, that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, it's low risk, very, very low risk, medium to high reward there with that price tag. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move on here to catcher, where you're looking at a lot of options, of course, with 15 games on the slate here. I never know what to make of Chris Young. I think he's an awful pitcher because of his 60% fly ball rate. I can't stand it, but I'm obviously going to consider Brian McCann there at home, $4,000 in Yankee Stadium. Russell Martin should be back in the lineup since he doesn't know how to catch a knuckleball. He should be back today against Jeff Samardzija. Samardzija's been pitching well, but you're certainly going to want to get yourself a piece of that Rogers Center game, though.
Yeah, definitely. I like both of those plays. I'll look at Montero again, probably for 2,700. I know it's against Scherzer, but for 2,700, he's been really consistent lately. Even last night, both offenses struggled even with that win. I think he was 1 for 3 with a walk or something like that. Hitting pretty high in the order. Been pretty solid against lefties. He's going to be a guy I look at a little bit for GPPs. If I'm looking a little bit cheaper than that, actually he's not cheaper than that, but Josh Begley on DraftKings is 3,000. He hit 6th against the last lefty they faced, facing Ryan for Detroit today. I think he's a decent cheap option as well at catcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you also throw in Yan Gomes, just came back. We know he's got big time upside, so he's in play for tournaments. He should be low owned, especially just 2 games removed from his injury there. Excuse me. As we move on here to first base, of course, some big bats, as there always are. Brandon Belt's a guy that's really been getting it going. Now he's slowly creeping up among the most expensive guys. He's priced out for me, and I'm not paying $5K for him against Mike Fiers. You got your other options. Paul Goldschmidt against Lance Lynn, who's been struggling recently. Edwin Encarnacion was a very popular play last night. Let everyone down, including myself, with pretty much everyone but him performing in that game.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at other options. You got Todd Frazier against a bad righty and Kyle Kendrick at home. You're going to want to get yourself a piece of these red bats. Frazier, obviously, you're probably going to play at third. You'd probably rather play Votto at first, of course. But that little duo right there is going to be one that I'm going to be throwing out in some GPPs for sure.
Yeah, I really like David Ortiz tonight. He's one of my favorite plays. At Minnesota against a fly ball pitcher in Hughes, who's been giving up a decent amount of home runs. He's got a huge sample size against him because it feels like they've both been in the league for like 100 years. But I think they have 39 at-bats against each other, and Ortiz is hitting 345. So I feel like he's a pretty strong play there. Ortiz is a guy that I don't love playing right now. I mean, he's not the same guy anymore, but when he faces a righty that gives up a ton of fly balls, he's usually a pretty strong play, especially at the price that he stays at, right around 4,200 there. I think he's a pretty strong cash game play tonight. There's one other guy. Lucas Duda is the other guy in that price range that I like a decent amount for cash games, facing a Ray and O'Sullivan that I just don't think is really strong.
No, yeah, I'm not a fan of Sean O'Sullivan at all, and we have to mention Prince Fielder, the guy, the hottest hitter on the planet. I mean, we talk about how good Bryce Harper is right now. Prince Fielder is absolutely ridiculous. 3 hits in each of his last 4 games. He's got 5 homers in his last 5 games, as well as 15 RBIs. He's just crushing. Good pitchers, too. I mean, took Salazar deep last night. Now he gets Carrasco. There's no way in hell that I'll be playing multiple teams and he won't be on at least one of them. I don't care who he's
5 home runs in the last 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's absolutely locked in. He's on fire. I'm certainly going to be targeting him tonight. Then when you're looking at other options, Jose Abreu got another homer last night. Obviously, gets Rogers Center again today. Now against fly ball machine Marco Estrada. So I think he's certainly in play there because of his big upside and just how awful Marco Estrada is. I mean, he mowed through His last game, Marco Estrada kind of blew everyone's minds. Everyone was stacked against him last time. Didn't pay off, but
Yep.
now he gets the White Sox, who much tougher than Seattle. I'll say that they're still not a great offense, but a lot bigger of bats that can get to him, and I think they put up a big number on him tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, as we move on here to second base, you got a lefty against Colby Lewis, so that's a check mark for me. Jason Kipnis had a homer last night. I think it was on the first or second pitch of the game, actually. But
yeah, against the lefty.
Yeah, and against the lefty. Now he gets Colby Lewis, who is just god-awful against lefties. His fake good season kind of came to an end against this same Cleveland team a week or so ago. So you're certainly targeting him. Brian Dozier's still pretty hot. You prefer him against the lefty at that price, though. And then you're looking for your other options. If you're not playing Garrett Cole, D. Gordon's in play for tournaments at 43 is pretty cheap for him with his upside. And then Neil Walker's a guy who got hit a homer last night. Had been really struggling for a while, but at 4,200 against Brad Hand, not a very good pitcher at all. I don't mind playing him either.
Yeah, 3,200 Delino DeShields. I don't mind against Carrasco. He's been leading off for Texas. And it feels like it's been forever, but Ben Zobrist is back.
Yep.
Facing a lefty today. Zobrist has quite a bit of power from the right side of the plate. He's a little expensive for me today, but I like the matchup as a GPP play if you're looking for some power at second base.
Yeah, that's your boy. I know you're excited to see him back.
I know. I was excited to see him in the lineup yesterday. I didn't use him, though.
Yeah, well, you got to let it sit for one day, see how they look first sometimes. But when you're looking at cheaper options here, not a whole lot to love really down here. Howie Kendrick is really cheap against lefty and Alex Wood at $3,500, so I'll probably be playing him quite a bit just due to his lineup position and being really cheap there. Justin Turner also $3,300. I don't mind him in that same type of situation. Outside of that, if you're looking for cheaper guys, really nothing down here that strikes any sort of interest for me. I mean,
yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's in tough matchups. Your two cheap guys, Jace Peterson, Logan Forsythe, both against elite pitching. No thanks.
Yeah.
All right, third base. Already mentioned Todd Frazier. Of course, you could look at Miguel Cabrera against the lefty and Scott Kazmir if you'd like. He's also first base eligible, of course. Your other options, Matt Carpenter just kind of gets it done. Coleman not very good against lefties. Gotta like that. Obviously not a lefty tonight, but few people have had bigger games than Josh Donaldson had last night. And if you didn't have him, you certainly did not make any money. And it was a weird situation. My cash game team was in the money in all the GPPs, but didn't even cash in some of my double ups because there was so much overlay in players. It was really strange. But yeah, Josh Donaldson, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 4 hits last night, 48 DraftKings points. For $4,300, he's certainly got some massive upside, although Jeff Samardzija is pitching really well right now.
Yep. One other guy I like at third base, Josh Harrison. You mentioned Hand is a pretty poor lefty for Miami. Harrison's been really strong against lefties all year. He went 2 for 4 last night with a double. He's been looking pretty good lately at the top of that lineup for Pittsburgh. I like him quite a bit, even though he's a little bit pricey for me.
Yeah, I like that too. And I'll throw out Luis Valbuena. I love targeting him in tournaments in good ballparks. I get Tubaldo Jimenez in Camden Yards today. And then Jimmy Paredes, like if you're not playing Colin McHugh, which you probably aren't, $4,000. Had 3 hits last night, including a double. Just when that offense gets going, the guy kind of does it all. He stole a base last night. He hits doubles. I mean, he goes under-owned, I feel like, around that price because he's just not one of those names. He's not a sexy pick. So I'll be going that way a little bit as well tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on here to shortstop, where it's not particularly great once again. I'll be looking at Johnny Peralta against Josh Collminter. I'm not a believer in Josh Collminter. I think he's in a fine spot. Elsewhere, Jose Reyes, $3,900 if you're not playing Samardzija, of course. He should be batting at the top of the lineup. Only 2 games back, but he's gotten on base both times, a double each time. So he's certainly got some big-time upside tonight as well.
Yeah, I'll mention Jimmy Rollins as usual. He's on a 4-game hit streak right now, facing a lefty. Probably not going to steal any bases with the lefty on the mound, but on a 4-game hit streak at 3,600, I don't mind him.
Yeah. Zach Kozar should be leading off again, I would assume. $3,500, at least first or second. We know how bad Kyle Kendrick is against righties and against lefties, so I'll be getting myself some shares of him. If you're looking for cheap options, once again, a lot of guys in tough matchups with really good pitchers. I guess you're looking at Freddie Galvis against Syndergaard. He's had some big games against much better pitchers than him. Obviously not much upside, but as far as a cash game play at 3,100, he's a guy that can get you 2-3 hits, score a couple runs.
Yeah.
All right, outfield time. of course, Bryce Harper, there's your mention each day. If you want to play Bryce Harper, he's playing a lefty again today, but I don't think it really matters for Bryce Harper how anyone throws. If they throw, maybe they don't throw. It doesn't really matter. The guy's just locked in. He's certainly one of your top plays. You got Mike Trout against Andrew Kashner, a good righty in Andrew Kashner, so I'm not going out of my way to target him. I do love Andrew McCutchen against Brad Hand. Once again, going back to that. He had that really hot streak a couple days ago. Kind of cooled off over the last 2 games, but I mean, if there's ever a spot for him to crush a bad pitcher, tonight is the night, and that's why DraftKings has him as the most expensive outfielder tonight.
Yeah, I like Brantley quite a bit. You mentioned a couple of these other Cleveland lefties against Colby Lewis. I love the Cleveland lineup tonight, stacked with lefties. I like Brantley. I don't mind basically any of their left-handed bats against Lewis tonight. I think that's a really strong stack that's going to be a little bit under-owned, if anything. Brantley at 4,900 feels like one of the better values of these top guys. Not a lot else to love at the top there other than the guys you mentioned already, McCutchen, Trout. I don't love Stanton tonight against Cole. More towards the middle here, I like Brett Gardner quite a bit, hitting leadoff against Young for Kansas City. I think he's a pretty strong play, but he's all the way up at 4,800. We mentioned Josh Harrison at third base. He's a fine outfield play also against Hand. I mean, I like Marte a little bit too against Hand, but for 5,000, it's just so hard to pay that price for Marte. Yeah. I struggle doing that all the time. I look at Pittsburgh stacks, and when I have to pay 200 less for Marte than I do for McCutchen, it's just so hard for me to do. Yeah. Commit 10K to both of those guys. One other guy that I like quite a bit tonight is actually Jason Hayward for St. Louis, facing Cole Mentor. He's gotten it going a little bit over the last few games, been hitting leadoff against righties. I like him quite a bit at 4,200 for this one.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention targeting lefties against Mike Leake. So that means Charlie Blackmon, Carlos Gonzalez, all these guys for Colorado, and especially if Brian Payne is behind the plate again, which I would guess that he will be tonight. One of the worst in the league at throwing out base runners, as we saw. Charlie Blackmon grabbed 3 off him a couple days ago, so definitely get yourself some lefty exposure to a good ballpark against a guy that's just god-awful against lefties. I mean, he's getting crushed by lefties, especially this year. And then on the other side of things, you got guys like Marlon Byrd and Jay Bruce you could throw into a couple tournaments in that small ballpark against a Kyle Kendrick who gives up a ton of home runs.
Yeah, a couple cheaper guys. Billy Burns, 3,100 against a lefty. He's probably going to be locked into most of my lineups today. I think that's just a steal of a value there. Josh Hamilton at 3,000 against Carrasco. I really like this Texas lineup as another stack. Hamilton hasn't looked great since he's been back. What's he been played 3 games now? Or did he play his first one on Monday?
I think 2 games.
Yeah. He had a walk and a run scored in the first one. I think he went 0 for 4 yesterday, but for 3,000, seems like there's some decent upside there. He's more of a GPP play for me, though. I like that Texas offense in general against a righty for the most part with the way Fielder's hitting. The rest of the lineup can get it going. Got to feel pretty good about that. Will Venable continues to be in the lineup basically every day for San Diego right now and hitting second, facing another righty in Richards who's pretty solid, but Venable's been on fire. He has a hit and a walk in each of the last 3 games. 3 RBI over that span. He's been playing himself into the lineup every day.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'll throw Sean Rodriguez in there as well. Rodriguez usually bats around 5th or 6th against lefties. Sometimes we see him batting 2nd. So keep an eye on that. He's a nice value at 2,900 if you need a cheap guy. You can also play him at second base there as well.
Yep.
All right, with that's going to wrap things up. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Check out all of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com for today, this afternoon, and tonight. And we'll see you guys next time.